Tonight on Y News. The Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court orders the arrest of Senator Leila de Lima for drug-related charges. Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre confirms a bribery attempt on high-profile inmates in order to retract their testimonies in favor of Senator Leila de Lima over drug cases. Relatives of victims in the bus accident in Tanay, Rizal start to receive insurance claims.
Private schools oppose suspension of out-of-town tours and proceed with scheduled trips despite CHED and DepEd suspension. And a magnitude 4.6 earthquake leaves 2 injured in Davao City. And the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas reports continuous improvement in the Philippine economy in the first quarter of 2017.
Y News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center, this is Y News with Angelo Castro III and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. The Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court has issued a warrant of arrest against Senator Leila de Lima for one of the drug-related cases filed against her in relation to the illegal drug trade inside the New Bilibid prison. Muntinlupa RTC Judge Juanita Guerrero ordered de Lima's arrest after finding sufficient probable cause in the charges filed by the Department of Justice. There was no bail recommended. Also arrested were de Lima's co-accused, former NBI Deputy Director and Bucor OIC Rafael Ragos, and her former driver bodyguard Ronnie Dayam. Based on the testimony of NBI agent Jovencio Ablen, he accompanied Ragos in delivering 5 million pesos drug money to de Lima's residence in Parañaque City in November of 2012. The drug money was allegedly received by Dayan, with de Lima looking on and waiting for the arrival of Ragos. Ablen added they made another delivery of drug money to de Lima's residence in December of 2012. The PNP CIDG has been on standby tonight following the issuance of arrest warrant against Senator Leila de Lima. Grace Casin is at Camp Crame to tell us why live. Go ahead, Grace.
Good evening, Jacob. Before the formal issuance of a warrant of arrest against Senator Leila de Lima, the PNP prepares custodial center should the senator is be detained here in Camp Crame. PNP spokesperson, Police Senior Superintendent Leonardo Carlos, earlier said that they are now preparing for the possible additional detention cell for female inmates here in PNP Custodial Center. PNP Chief Police Director General Ronald De La Rosa also assures the security of Senator Leila de Lima should it be the case. As of this moment, the PNP CIDG is still waiting for the copy of the warrant of arrest. Based on the memorandum of the CIDG NCR, 16 police officers are in charge to arrest and provide security to the senator. All teams and their vehicles are now stationed here and just waiting for the final instruction. CIDG Director, Police Director Roel Obusan arrived here at the CIDG NCR office this evening, but he refused to give further details regarding the operation. Jago, we're still waiting here in Camp Crame and for the final statement of Director Obusan on how they're going to serve the warrant against the senator and if the booking process will be done here in Camp Crame. Jago?
Thank you, Grace Casin, reporting live from Camp Crame. High-profile inmates at the AFP Custodial Center were allegedly offered 100 million pesos in exchange for retracting their statements in favor of Senator Leila de Lima in connection with the Bilibid drug trade. Robbie De Guzman will tell us why.
Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre says a former senator and an incumbent congressman allied with Senator Leila de Lima were the ones who called the inmates to bribe them. The high-profile inmates who testified at a congressional hearing against Senator Leila de Lima were allegedly bribed with 100 million pesos in exchange of retracting their statement against the senator. Justice Secretary Aguirre says a former senator and a lawmaker who are members of the Liberal Party offered money to the Bilibid with inmates yesterday. De Lima's party mates allegedly called their contact inside the AFP Custodial Center to talk to the inmates.
The offer was made by a former senator and by an incumbent congressman. So, we will name it. Handang i-confirm nung 8 inmates. Pinatawagan dun sa isang contact nila. So, binigay yung telepono and then tinawagan and then the cell phone was ginawa nasa speakerphone. Narinig nung 8. Ni-reject nung 8.
The attempted bribery was allegedly repeated earlier this morning through a former policeman and now inmate Clarence Dongail. One of the alleged conditions is that the inmates should retract their statement before the anniversary of the EDSA People Power on February 25.
The significance is that they wanted to use this as to attract more people sa EDSA anniversary para magkaroon ng people power daw, and they are being offered that they'll be released.
The Justice Secretary says they will file appropriate charges to those behind the bribery. Senator Leila de Lima, however, shrugged off the allegations and dared Aguirre to show evidence and name the said lawmaker and former senator.
Very outrageous and outlandish. Hindi ko papatulan yung ganyang katawa-tawa na naman na claim. Ang hilig-hilig talaga mag-imbento.
Secretary Aguirre meanwhile said he will present the inmates to prove the bribery allegations and that he will tell the NBI to investigate the issue.
Gusto ko mismo makita ninyo yung mga inmates ang mismong magpapangalan kung sino yung dating senador na yan, kung sino yung congressman na yan.
The DOJ will have 5 high-profile inmates testify for the cases filed against De Lima at the Muntinlupa RTC in line with the illegal drug trade at the New Bilibid prisons. These are Herbert Colango, Engelberto Durano, Vicente C., Peter Co., and Jojo Baligad. Robbie De Guzman, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre says a Korean mafia might be involved in the kidnapping and killing of Korean national Ji Ik-ju. Jo Anano will tell us why.
Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre believes there is a Korean mafia or group involved in the kidnap for ransom of Korean nationals in the Philippines. At the hearing of the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs today, Aguirre claimed receiving information that the Korean mafia might be behind the killing of Korean businessman Ji Ik-ju.
Merong theory is that itong may kalaban itong si Ji Ik-ju ng mga sa Korean mafia, and they hired the scalawags of our police agencies from the PNP, from the NBI to do Mr. Ji Ik-ju in.
Secretary Aguirre added he discovered about the influence of the said mafia when he learned about the case of convicted Korean businessman who could not be deported due to his connections with the Korean embassy.
I met another former NBI official who said that talagang malaki na ang lawak nitong sinasakop nitong Korean mafia. At sinasabi niya that even some people in the Korean embassy are already compromised by this Korean mafia. So and then we heard, I don't know if it's true, from Colonel Dumlao that when being investigated, that the people in this Korean mafia are so big that mahihirapan tayo.
The National Bureau of Investigation and the PNP anti-kidnapping group can't determine yet if the said mafia is involved in the case of Ju. They admit, however, that a Korean serves as an agent of the NBI and PNP for the wife of Ju.
He approached the victim's wife, Mrs. Choi, and asked 500,000 to fast-track the resolution of the case according to him, at paghahatian daw ng AKG at saka NBI. And then another 100,000 after a few days para ibigay daw sa AKG director.
Senator Bam Aquino meanwhile urged the Senate to get the side of the Korean embassy at the soonest possible time, especially since the allegations of Secretary Aguirre is huge. Meanwhile, the statements of SPO3 Ricky Santa Isabel and Police Superintendent Rafael Dumlao did not match, and the two seemed to have blamed each other about what happened to G.
Ito nga ang pumatay dito sa Koreano.
Ay, hindi po.
So, paano siya namatay? Yung huling nakita ko po, pinapalo po ni Atty. Dumlao ng 45 po sa dibdib yung Koreano po, bago po ako umalis po.
Yung mga witnesses po, yung mga ebidensya, pati po yung nakita po doon po sa may funeral homes, wala naman po silang nakitang pasa po sa dibdib o kaya sa mukha. Yung pong mga kasama po ni Santa Isabel, ito pong tulad nito nila Mr. Omlang, yung pong mga ebidensya ang nagsasalita po.
The statements of Gerry Omlang and Roy Villegas also did not match. Villegas says Omlang was the one who covered G's head with packaging tape and Santa Isabel was the one who killed him.
Pumasok naman to si Ricky, may dalang bakal, tsaka hindi ko alam kung tali yun or ano sir eh. Tsaka parang ginarote sir. Nailagay yung tali, isinuot yung baka tapos inikot.
Kinuha ko po yun, sasakyan ko sa circle eh. Matagal po ako nawala.
So sinasabi mo under oath na hindi mo nakita yung sinasabi ni SPO4 Villegas. Yan ang sinasabi mo?
Opo, Your Honor.
Meanwhile, it was also revealed during the Senate hearing that the helper of the Jew family, Marisa Dawis, might be involved in the case after Senator Leila de Lima divulged that she had been convicted of a kidnapping case. Her face was covered when she faced the Senate hearing before. The NBI confirmed that she had also faced a kidnapping case before.
We requested naman both PNP and NBI to determine the identity. Kung ma-confirm na one and the same yan, malaki ang probability na talaga kasama siya sa sindikato. The next question is, sinong sindikato ang may kagagawa niyan?
Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The relatives of the victims in a tragic bus accident in Rizal gather at the main office of the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board today. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
An insurance company has started processing the claims of the families of the victims in the recent bus accident in Tanay, Rizal. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, decided to centralize the processing of claims at its head office in Quezon City to ease the burden of the claimants. SCCI Management and Insurance Agency Corporation says the survivor will receive up to 20,000 pesos depending on the amount of their medical expenses. The relatives of those who died will receive 200,000 pesos. The sibling of one of the victims was emotional while processing his insurance claims. However, the SCCI notes that the amount they can give has a limit based on the insurance law.
Baliktarin natin ng sitwasyon. Bibigyan kayo namin ng 200 kapalit ng buhay. Papayag kayo.
Teka ho, ang ano ho namin kasi, kami ho insurance company lang. Naka-insured ho yung mga yung bus natin hanggang 200,000 lang ho. Naintindihan ho namin yung yung galit ninyo, pero hanggang doon lang ho talaga yung aming insurance.
SCCI allotted 750,000 pesos for the first batch of distribution to the relatives, which is worth 50,000 pesos each. Based on the SCCI's computation, they will pay 4 million pesos for the families of the victims of the tragic accident. After the completion of the necessary documents, the victims can then receive the claims after 5 days. The insurance also covers the driver of the bus who also died during the accident. The legal counsel of the Panda Coach bus says if the amount the victims' families will receive is not enough, the Best Link College and Harana Tours will work together to provide more financial aid to them.
Individually kakusapin namin ng pamilya and then try namin ma-negotiate kung hanggang saan yung kayang i-provide ng company.
LTFRB ensures to properly process the claims of the victims.
There are different schedules of penalty payments for mga iba-ibang klaseng injury, loss of eyesight, loss of limb. There's a different kind of amount.
LTFRB will conduct a hearing on February 28 to investigate the accident. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Some lawmakers push for the legislation of some bills regarding new policies on out-of-school activities. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Two party list congressmen want to revive the proposed bill seeking new policies to ensure the safety and welfare of students and teachers during out-of-school activities like field trips. This after the February 20 bus field trip of Basingan College of the Philippines students that figured in a fatal accident in Tanay Rizal, which left 14 students and the bus driver dead. 4 bills are currently pending in the lower house for the creation of a Transportation Safety Board. According to House Bill number 190, an independent body will be created to lead the investigation on land, air, and water accidents and eventually give recommendations and policies to prevent the occurrence of accidents.
Ang pinaka-purpose nito is mag-gather together yung ating mga experts as far as transportation is concerned, kasama yung land, air, and sea, para tingnan yung worthiness ng ating mga transportation facilities.
Meanwhile, ang Edukasyon Party List Representative Salvador Belaro files a bill seeking for a mandatory accident insurance for students and teachers who will do out-of-school activities. He also submitted a resolution calling for the lower house investigation on the Tanay Rizal bus accident.
Yung schools, dapat linawin din po natin yung sa kung may tugma ba yung objective ng field trip saka yung activity.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Private schools continue to hold off-campus tours for their students despite the recent tragic bus accident in Tanay Rizal. Marge Pelayo will tell us why.
The Federation of Private Schools Administrators is not in favor of suspending the conduct of educational trips. The group's president Eliasardo Casilag notes educational field trips are important, especially for basic education. He says students sometimes need to immerse in the actual area of a certain topic as not all lessons can be learned from books.
Kaya kinakailangan lumabas kasi minsan we really have to go out, direct, fresh experience. It's the objective now.
He says even though they have collection for the said trips, it should be for the expenses and should only be secondary. Casilag explains that the suspension of such an activity is already an abuse of the power of DepEd and the Commission on Higher Education.
Siguro labag sa batas kasi mayroon kaming academic freedom no? Ang ganda ng ang UNCHED and DepEd for regulatory purpose, they are there. Kung suspindihin, parang control na yan, na medyo lihis na yata.
Despite the tragic accident of students that recently happened in Tanay Rizal, a private school in Quezon City continued to hold an educational tour. Each student has a guardian accompanying them. The parents said they are not against educational tour as it may help students in their studies.
Favor naman ako sa i-retain lang. Kasi kailangan ng mga bata to.
Kasi matututo sila ng mga bagay na hindi na natututunan sa school. Basta ma-ensure lang yung safety ng mga bata, yun lang naman ang importante.
Marge Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Environment Secretary is set to meet the Commission on Appointments on the first day of March. The public awaits on whether she'll be confirmed amid the controversial issues in mining. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
DENR Secretary Gina Lopez is asking the Commission on Appointments for a chance to prove that she deserves to be in office. On March 1, Lopez will undergo the confirmation process, which is seen to be very challenging for her due to the mining issues. But she assures the Commission that she will serve at the best interest of the environment.
Wala akong duda at siguradong ako na pwedeng makamtan isang bayan na wala nang mahirap. Ang kailangan lang ay alagaan ang kalikasan para may pakinabang ang mamamayang Pilipino.
Lopez also said that she has the support of President Rodrigo Duterte. The Secretary already ordered the closure of 23 mining operations and suspension of 5 others. She also canceled the 75 mineral production sharing agreements, which was not yet operational because they were also located in the watersheds.
He said, I agree with you. And he said, don't worry, you're my cabinet secretary and I And naniniwala din ako na hindi dapat imina yung watersheds.
Lopez said that her office already sent closure and suspension orders to mining firms, but they can still operate while appealing to President Rodrigo Duterte. But if the president affirms her decisions, the mining operations will automatically stop and she can start the rehabilitation of the closed mining sites. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
2 pedestrians were injured following a strong tremor in Davao City. June Surya will tell us why.
Students and office workers in Davao City evacuated after a 4.2 magnitude earthquake shook the city before 10 a.m. today. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology of FIVOC says the center of the tectonic earthquake was located at 9 kilometers northeast of the city. The FIVOC adds an earthquake with that magnitude does not bring severe damages. However, the tremors brought down a waiting shed on Quirino Street, which injured 2 pedestrians, namely Maria Teresa Pusta, 43 years old, and Fei Yu, 66 years old.
Hingin ako sa gawas, nakita na ko natumba ang waiting shed. Pagkatumba, may 2 ka babae na igo sa pagkatumba sa waiting shed. Isa ka babae na igo nga ang yung tiil po na ipit. Idundakan po yung tiil. Patong medyo sa kasakit, nabira niya.
Residents account the waiting shed has been standing there for at least 30 years old. The incident prompted the Davao City Government Engineering Department to inspect all public structures in the city. The city government said it is willing to pay for the hospital expenses of the injured victims. Jun Suriao, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Y News will be right back.
This coming March, brace yourselves for the much-awaited best-of-3 championship series of UNTV Cup Season 5. Anong team ang magkakamit ng inaasam na kampyonato ng UNTV Cup? Anong koponan ang makapagbibigay ng 4 million pesos sa kanilang chosen charity? Magkakaalaman na. Game 1, March 5, 2017 at Pasig City Sports Center. Game 2, March 14, 2017 at Smart Araneta Coliseum. And Game 3, March 21, 2017 at Smart Araneta Coliseum. Don't miss the action dito sa naiipang Liga ng Public Servants. Ito ang UNTV Cup Season 5 Championship Series.
Philippine National Police National Capital Region Police Office clears 40 policemen and exempts them from getting deployed to Basilan. Grace Casin will tell us why.
40 policemen who were originally in the list of errant cops to be deployed in Mindanao on Tuesday will stay here in Metro Manila as the National Capital Region Police Office issues a clearance on them. According to PNP spokesperson Police Senior Superintendent Junardo Carlos, some of the policemen were given clearance as they are required to personally attend the hearings on their respective cases. The cases of others are already dismissed, while some are already under the non-duty status or NDS. The charges and reviews conducted on their cases were done during the 15-day period given by President Rodrigo Duterte after he personally spoke to the said police officers in Malacanang.
May mga kasong na-dismiss, ni-review yung mga kasong na-dismiss. Mayroon kasing mga kaso na na-dismiss, pero yung act was committed. Ang dahilan kung bakit hindi na-dismiss, technicality, hindi na-disinterested na yung mga aggrieved party.
According to PNP, the number of policemen who were deployed in Basilan is 54. A police officer who will fail to follow the reassignment will possibly face sanction.
Yung hindi ko pumunta doon, seserban sila ng return to work notice 3 beses. Pag hindi pa maybe we're counting them already to be a whole.
The PNP spokesperson also appeals to public not to call those policemen as calawags, saying the weight of their cases are not the same. Some of these cases are also under review and might be dismissed soon. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Senator Leila de Lima has decided to go home tonight after the sudden decision of the Regional Trial Court in Muntinlupa City in relation to her drug case. Joyce Balancho is in Parañaque City to tell us why live. Go ahead, Joyce.
Yes, good evening, Diego. Senator Leila de Lima has already arrived here in South Bay Village in Parañaque City, where the senator lives. She decided to go home tonight to see her family in her last minute before she gets arrested anytime. Diego, this is after Muntinlupa City Regional Trial Court issued a warrant of arrest today, or this afternoon, following their finding of probable cause in one of her drug cases. Before coming home tonight, Diego, she faced the Senate media earlier in a press conference when Senator Leila de Lima became emotional and actually cried in front of us. She said that while her arrest has been all over the news, she has not yet received the formal copy of the arrest warrant, so she decided to go home instead to spend the last minutes with her family and also to bring with her the things that she plans to bring with her in detention. And she said she plans to go to the Senate office tomorrow, where she will wait for the arresting officers. She also guaranteed that she will be true to her word, that she will not resist any arrest and will surrender peacefully once the arresting officers come to serve the arrest warrant. She also said that she will leave the legal matters to the hands of her legal team on what possible remedies that can be taken or what possible motions can be filed before the regional trial court. During the press conference, Diego, earlier she thanked LP Senators Franklin Drilon, Bam Aquino, and Francis Pangilinan, who were with her during the entire press conference, who also showed her support. And also in separate statement, these LP Senators condemned the issuance of a warrant of arrest from the RTC and maintained that this court does not have jurisdiction on hearing her drug cases. During the press conference, also, Diego, Senator Leila de Lima thanked her supporters and also asked for prayers that she may be placed in a safe and secure place. Let's hear a portion of the press conference earlier.
Ninanais ko muna po na umuwi muna para makapiling ko na muna po ang aking pamilya. Sa inyo pong lahat, humihingi lang po ako ng inyong dasal na sana maging safe and secure po ako saan man nila ako dadalhin, saan man nila ako ikukulong.
Diego, the latest senator is currently facing 3 drug cases, all pending before the Muntinlupa City Regional Trial Court. All these cases, Diego, are related to the allegations that she was a drug peddler and she has received money for her senatorial campaign. That is her latest live here from Parañaque City. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you, Joyce Balancho, reporting live from Parañaque City. Former Philippine National Police Chief Alan Purisima today files a not guilty plea over graft and usurpation charges against him in line with the Mama Sapano incident. With this, the court orders the prosecution to do a direct and straight to the point presentation of evidence during the pre-trial so the court can proceed immediately to the trial proper. Meanwhile, the arraignment of ex-PNP SAF Director Getulio Napeñas was postponed due to his pending motion to the court. The Sandigan Bayan 4th Division schedules their preliminary conference on the case on April 6 and 7 and the pre-trial on May 3.
The Sandigan Bayan denied the motion to quash of former Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr.'s plunder case. Monokson will tell us why.
Former Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. has personally attended the trial on his plunder case at the Sandigan Bayan. But for the third time, the Sandigan Bayan 1st Division deferred the plunder trial. The prosecution and the defense still has to arrange issues concerning the presentation of evidence and witnesses for the case. Because of this, the Graft Court has set again a preliminary conference but gave a condition that the two parties can only make 2 cancellations for the trial to proceed. The court also denied Revilla's motion to quash his plunder case. The court does not believe that Revilla had no knowledge of his case because he even filed for a petition for bail. The Graft Court explains that filing a motion to quash must be done before the arraignment and not before a trial. Revilla is disappointed on the cancellation of his trial.
Imagine 2 years, 9 months na ako nakakulong na wala kasalanan. Paano pagdating ng oras na lumabas yung wala tayong kasalanan? Unfair naman para sa akin, di ba?
The court moved the trial of Revilla's plunder case on March 30. Mon Hocson, UNTV News and Rescue, Sandigan Bayan.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines is all set for a massive protest on Saturday. Brian De Paz will tell us why.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, prepares for a series of protests that will be organized during the commemoration of the EDSA People Power Revolution on Saturday. The AFP also assures that it will follow the order of President Rodrigo Duterte not to hinder any protest and respect the rights of the protesters.
Of course, may mga usap-usapan dyan sa media regarding sa mga nagaganap na mga political activities katulad ng mga recent incidents. No? Pero this is part of our democratic space.
Colonel Edgar Arevalo says this is to prove that the public should not fear the armed forces, unlike during the martial law regime. Arevalo says the AFP would like to regain people's trust and create a positive public perception that it is the guardian of peace and partner of the current administration in achieving a positive change.
We can say that the AFP now is more of a partner in nation building than it was before kung kailan sila ay kinakatakutan ng mga tao. Ang naging pagbabago, kung may sasite nga natin, ay yung ating adherence to the rule of law and human rights and international humanitarian law.
Meanwhile, General Año denies the existence of a coup plot against President Duterte among the military ranks.
Destabilization, we have not monitored anything. The whole armed forces is solid behind the Constitution and the President.
Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
The sultans and datus from Mindanao dispelled the criticisms against President Rodrigo Duterte and have expressed support to his administration amid rumors of a destabilization plot. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
For the first time, the sultans and datus in Mindanao, together with the cabinet members of different royal houses, gathered in Davao City. One of the agenda of the gathering is to express their united support to the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte, who is now under criticism and is threatened by a plot to destabilize the government.
So yun ang gusto namin sa doon na, hey, tignan nyo kami dito sa Mindanao. Sabi niyo, hindi kami magkakasama. Ngayon magkakasama kami. And we're supporting the President Duterte.
Yung mga kritiko kay Presidente, ang mga taong ayaw ng katahimikan, yan ang bumabatiko sa kanya.
The group favors the move of the administration to talk peace with the Moro rebels. Also with the president's war on drugs, which is now still being hounded by criticisms of extrajudicial killings.
Suportahan natin yan. Na-lesen yung crime, bumaba yung crime dahil sa kampanya against drugs.
This occasion, as I said, will prove to the world that the Muslims are united in supporting the President Rodrigo Duterte.
The group also believes that the threat of destabilization is just in Metro Manila and the case is not the same in the provinces. Meanwhile, President Duterte's supporters in Davao City will also gather this Saturday, coinciding with the EDSA People Power anniversary. The Freedom Rally, dubbed Defend Our Freedom from Corruption, Crime and Drugs, is expected to gather around 5,000 to 10,000 people.
May anti-rally for the administration, meron ding pro-rally for the administration. Kasi pag titingnan natin, baka yung anti-administration baka sabihin nila na talagang sira ng administration na ito. So sa amin, ginagawa namin ito para din malagyan ng ibang pananaw yung tao na ang tao ay nagkaisa para sa Pilipinas.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Davao City.
The Department of Foreign Affairs, together with China, hopes to complete the framework for the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea by the middle of this year. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
DFA Secretary Perfecto Yasay Jr. says the position of the Philippines is to make sure that the completion of the framework for the Code of Conduct will address situations such as the claiming and ownership of islands. This after a unanimous statement from ASEAN foreign ministers to complete the Code of Conduct or COC with China by the middle of this year.
The ASEAN foreign ministers have also reiterated the need to precisely complete that within the year. And so I would imagine that because of that unanimous statement, we would be able to even move forward much faster.
Secretary Yasay also says the Philippines is pursuing to work it out with international counterparts.
Our Undersecretary Ricky Manalo is, for instance, heading this with his counterparts, and that's the status for now, and we are pursuing that.
He also added that while the framework is in the process of completion, China committed not to build anything on the borderline of islands like the Scarborough Shoal.
I do not expect that China will do it. They have told it to us.
Not to build on
that they are not building.
Meanwhile, Secretary Yasay also clarified that the country claiming any island will be required to go through a process with the appropriate international tribunal acting and deciding on it. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Department of Foreign Affairs.
The Department of Energy assures that the agency will comply with a temporary restraining order issued by the Supreme Court that suspends the implementation of the new policy on the power industry. Joanna will tell us why.
We are looking into telling all the players involved, the big consumers, the suppliers, to mag-coordinate po tayo. Wala po munang gagalaw. Freeze muna lahat hanggang matapos ng Korte Suprema ang kanilang pagdinig.
The Department of Energy is ready to comply with the temporary restraining order issued by the Supreme Court suspending the implementation of the Retail Competition and Open Access or RCOA. RCOA is also one of the provisions under the Electric Power Industry Reform Act of 2001 or the IPIRA law, wherein big power consumers are obliged to seal a contract only with selected power suppliers registered on the Energy Regulatory Commission. The Energy Department assures that the agency will not do any move against the court's order but stood firm that the implementation of the new policy is in accordance with the IPIRA law.
The DOE commits to uphold consumers' power of choice. Its mandate is to implement the law, and consumers should have the freedom of choice as to which power provider they prefer to deal with.
In the event that the said policy will be executed, establishments consuming more than 1,000 kilowatts of electricity will be affected, such as malls, private offices, and other big consumer groups. Despite this, the Energy Department is still hopeful that the court will favor them and will consider the good effect of these regulations on the power consumers. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Department of Energy.
The Bureau of Internal Revenue has conducted a massive recruitment as part of its intensified tax collection effort. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The Bureau of Internal Revenue or BIR targets to collect 1.829 trillion pesos this year. To do this, the agency has to improve its tax collection and services to the taxpayers. BIR Commissioner Cesar Dulay says part of BIR's efforts to improve tax collection is to conduct massive recruitment. Currently, there are 10,000 vacant plantilla positions at the BIR.
Our approved plantilla is about 21,000. So you can see that we are operating only at 50% of the approved plantilla. We need examiners, CPAs, lawyers, to do the work and collection effort of the agency.
To encourage more applicants for the BIR, Dulay calls on the Congress to pass a proposed law that exempts BIR personnel from the salary standardization law. BIR employees have lower salary among other government agencies.
Just to give you an example, we cannot compete with the other agencies of the government. For example, our hiring rate for CPAs, professionals, is about 19 to 20%, 20,000 pesos. You compare this to the hiring rate of the Securities and Exchange Commission, they were able to get out of the salary standardization law.
Meanwhile, Commissioner Dulay states that many of the complaints that BIR receives are about the slow processing of documents. The Commissioner also notes that he is strictly monitoring any corruption complaints. This year, the agency has already filed 10 cases of tax evasions, while there are more than 400 pending tax evasion cases at the Department of Justice. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Based on the Business Expectation Survey, the Philippine economy remains broadly steady in the first quarter of 2017. According to Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Deputy Governor Diwa Gunigundo, the economy has recorded continuous 72 quarters of positive economic growth despite the depreciation of peso. He says despite similarity in the record of exchange rate in the past years, the value of peso will still improve because of the growing economy.
Because the economy has become more competitive, the economy has become efficient. So even if you have a weakening currency, the impact on inflation is quite modest.
The Bureau of Customs, or BOC, is expecting to collect more than 36 million pesos from an auction sale at the Manila International Container Port next week. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
12 items will be included in an auction sale that will be open to the public by the Auction and Cargo Disposal Division of the Manila International Container Port on February 28. This after consignees abandoned their cargo 30 days after the shipments arrived in the country. The items include 58 40-footer containers, assorted wooden and steel furniture worth 15 million pesos, 2006 Lamborghini Murcielago, 2005 Ferrari F430, 5 40-footer container color sandwich panels, 5 40-footer container macaroni pasta, and 5 partition board mortar wall, a 40-footer container containing e-bikes parts and accessories, and 2 40-footer container Mizuno brand shoes. The items are worth over 36,700,000 pesos. The public bidding will be held in accordance to the provision of Section 1129 and 1139 of the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act. The amount the agency will earn will directly go to the government.
Ang revenues will not go to the Bureau. It's go directly to the account of the Treasury. Doon po yan. Wala pong cash na hahawakan ng Bureau of Customs. Ang payment is chargeable dun sa account ng Bureau of Customs, but the money will go directly to the Treasury.
Other items will be available during the public bidding at an auction sale at the MICP next week. The agency also vows to strictly monitor the owners of the commodities, as previously consignees of the products joined the auction. The BOC is also investigating consignees who buy luxury cars but leave the vehicles at the Manila International Container Port.
We are investigating them, the mode of bringing these imported cars to the country. If there's really a intention to defraud the government, or there's really just a technical problem why it was seized.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Bureau of Customs.
A 222-meter pedestrian link bridge that connects to NAIA Terminal 3 is expected to open in June of this year. Brian De Paz will tell us why.
The The Department of Public Works and Highways and the Department of Transportation expect to finish by April the 220-meter pedestrian link bridge that will connect NAIA Terminal 3 to Newport City. DPWH Secretary Mark Villar says the project will provide convenience to passengers, especially to persons with disabilities and senior citizens, as they would be able to reach the airport from Newport City in only 10 minutes.
This is in line sa directive ni Presidente na 24/7 dapat ang mga infrastructure projects dito sa Pilipinas. Kaya nakakatuwa naman at mukhang by April matatapos na siya in time for the Asian Summit.
For his part, Transportation Secretary Art Tugade says the bridge will help ease traffic at the airport, considering that around 13 million passengers flock to NAIA Terminal 3 every year.
Yung mga taong maibabawas mo sa baba, ganun ang ratio at extent ng luwag ng trapiko.
Tugade adds the project will also be beneficial for the upcoming ASEAN Summit in the country.
Bakit matatapos? Kasi nandiyan na yung salaming, nakabolt na yung hinges na pinapakita ko kanina, saka magpapatrabaho sila 24 hours.
The Runway Manila project is funded by Travelers International Hotel Group Incorporated. The company is thankful that the government trusts them in pursuing the project. Secretary Villar says the project is now 80% complete and is expected to be launched in April this year. Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Coming up, a massive fire razes Sydney recycling factory in Australia.
And bald men in Japan hold annual competition to celebrate baldness.
More from My News after this break. Firefighters battle a huge blaze at a waste recycling factory in Sydney, sending plumes of smoke across the city. Early Briones will tell us why.
More than 100 firefighters battled the blaze at a waste recycling plant in Sydney on Thursday. No injuries were reported, according to the fire brigade, which sent more than 26 trucks to the scene in an industrial district 15 kilometers west of downtown Sydney.
It's used for recycling of materials. We're aware that there's carpets, plastics, cardboards and paper. This is producing enormous amounts of thick black smoke that can be seen right across Sydney. Now we are monitoring that smoke plume constantly. We've established some air monitoring devices around the site and they will give us any alarm should there be any toxicity to the affected area.
A plume of thick black smoke was visible citywide, though winds pushed it away from downtown areas and towards the suburbs.
From experience, this could take a day or two before we have the final remnants of the fire extinguished. But we still have a lot of active firefighting ahead of us. We're in what we call defensive mode. We're not in the factory. It's too dangerous to go into the factory. We have surrounded the factory and we're defending the surrounding properties. And at this stage, that strategy is being successful.
Firefighters used 3 cranes to pour water on the fire from above. Authorities did not comment on the cause of fire.
Wildfires regularly happen in Australia during summer, and the Rural Fire Service rated most of New South Wales to have high or very high risk of fire. Early Briones, UNTV News and Rescue, Sydney, Australia.
Authorities arrest 9 people as dozens defy a deadline to leave Dakota Pipeline protest camp. Chris De Leon will tell us why.
At least 9 people were arrested as a few demonstrators opposed to the Dakota Pipeline defied the Wednesday deadline to leave protest camp they have occupied for months to demand an end to the construction of the project. As freezing rain and snow fell, some demonstrators ceremonially burned tents and other structures at the camp in what they said was a tradition before leaving a dwelling place. But others said they were going nowhere.
We knew this day was going to come. We knew that they need to remove themselves from this, and it's unfortunate that they put themselves in this situation.
The Standing Rock Sioux tribe asked protesters to leave the area in December as they challenged the pipeline plans in court, but some 300 demonstrators had remained. State officials have set up a travel assistance center to provide departing protesters with food, water, and health checkups, as well as a voucher for one night's accommodation at the Bismarck Hotel and a bus ticket home. President Donald Trump has pushed for the completion of the multi-billion-dollar pipeline since he took office last month, despite objections from Native Americans and environmental activists, who say it threatens the water resources and sacred land of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. The pipeline will be complete and ready for oil between March 6 and April 1, according to the court documents filed Tuesday. Chris De Leon, UNTV News and Rescue, Chicago, USA.
Bald men show off at a special competition in Tsuruta City in northern Japan. Nino Armilio will tell us why.
More than 30 bald men gathered in northern Japan on Wednesday to show off their hairless heads at an annual game night. Members of the Bald Men's Club in Tsuruta City, in Japan's northern prefecture of Awamori, met at a hot spring facility for the event, where they took turns in competing in a unique game of tug-of-war by attaching suction pads onto their heads. Other games included bald men showing off only the top of their heads through a hole in the wall for people to guess who the head belonged to. This year marked the 29th event ever since the club's inauguration in 1989, which now has more than 65 members from all over the country. The club's motto is to view baldness in a positive manner, to have fun, and to brighten the world with our shiny heads, according to its website. 64-year-old Masatomo Sasaki, who was a first-time participant at the tournament, said he used to feel insecure about his baldness, but not anymore.
やっぱり羽生は羽生としてもうすごい誇りまでがないけどもいいと思ってるこういう会があるおかげだと思ってる
He said he started losing hair at age 40. Some said they felt sore from the impact of the suction cups.
もう今でも痛いですちょっと冷やしたいぐらい痛いんですけど
But making bald men feel secure about themselves isn't the club's only aim. The club's chairman, Teijiro Sugo, says he hoped that the gathering will turn into an Olympic event one day.
世界中のハゲ頭この青森県来てハゲのオリンピックやりたいの
The event is held every year on February 22. Nino Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Those are the reasons behind the news, February 23, 2017. Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Darlene Basingan.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching. Why News.